I'm sure most of them, about like me, they've been through them before, so no big deal.
Tropical storm Beta has begun dumping rain on coastal cities, but one county judge isn't asking residents to evacuate. What he's asking instead.
Rainfall and high tide in Galveston tonight, not keeping visitors away from the beach. Why some say tonight is a teachable moment.
And many residents in one city are staying put, even though voluntary evacuations ahead of the storm have been called for. Why they've decided to stay.
Live from the KFDM studios, you're watching KFDM 6 News tonight at 10.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Tiffany Murphy.
And I'm Greg Kerr. Thanks for watching us at 10. Right now, Tropical Storm Beta is moving ashore along the central Gulf Coast.
And we continue to see some of the rain from this system. Chief Meteorologist Greg Bostwick is tracking Beta. He joins us now with the latest. Greg.
That's right, it's on shore now down toward Palacios, and you can see the thunderstorms firing up and then the shear taking them off a little bit toward the east, and still some dry air keeping it in check, but still some pretty good rains now falling from Houston back to the southwest, and this is going to be slow moving, at least initially, for tomorrow. So that'll be the main focus area for real heavy rains out to our west. So we'll be watching radar closely. We're not seeing much rain here locally right now. Some showers around Port Arthur, back up toward Lumberton and moving off toward the northwest, and heavy rains now impacting the Houston metro area. Some pretty heavy rains falling down toward Baytown, back over towards Seabrook, and also around Galveston. They're getting some big rains there, 5, 6 inches of rain, 7 inches now, right around Pearland. So some big rains here. Do you see this banding effect, this training effect? You can see the showers lining up and coming right up this line. That's what's causing those big totals you can see right there from Galveston on toward the northwest. We'll be watching for those type of setups in southeast Texas as well, but right now we're not expecting that for tonight. Roofing 911 and Do Good, the sponsors here on our camera, and going back down towards South County, still some pretty good rains falling there in Sabine Pass. Wortham Roofing, the sponsor there. We've had about 1/3 to 1/2 inch of rain, at least around Beaumont so far for today. You're heading outdoors, well, the pollen count's still high. Now this is mainly for the weekend when the rains end. Ragweed climbing back into the high levels, and looks like for the beach, obviously tomorrow's not a good day, but the reason why I want to show this because the winds are way too strong to head down there. There's a water temperature down to 78 degrees on the beach. All this rain and the wind stirring up the Gulf of Mexico, cooling things off very nicely. We're going to talk about the rain potential coming up for the next few days in a few minutes.
All right, Greg, thank you. And tonight, Tropical Storm Beta is slamming into the Texas coast. Thousands are riding it out.
Joe Galley reports from the Gulf Coast with what people there are dealing with tonight.
These are exactly the conditions that we thought we would see with Tropical Storm Beta. We've got strong winds, heavy rain, and we're already starting to see flooding. It didn't take long for some roads to flood in the coastal town of Port O'Connor, about a half hour away from Port Lavaca. Tropical Storm Beta dropping heavy amounts of rain. Folks in this area were not told to evacuate, but instead, the Calhoun County judge asked people to shelter in place. He declared a local state of disaster. The county sheriff taking to Facebook to ask people to remove loose objects from their yards so they don't become projectiles in the wind.
High tides are pretty normal here, especially during storms.
Bob Stevens is riding out the storm at a local restaurant. Like most of his neighbors, he's no stranger to big storms.
I'm sure most of them, about like me, they've been through them before, so no big deal.
Despite the strong winds, the majority of homes in Port O'Connor did not have boarded up windows.
We kind of waited a day to see what it's due before we boarded up, but we decided not to do our shutters.
The local fire department has boats at the ready to rescue people if floodwaters rise. Another major concern for the storm is electricity. The power is expected to go out for possibly thousands of people along the Texas coast. Reporting in Port Lavaca, I'm Joe Galley.
The governor has issued disaster declarations for more than 24 counties in the path of Beta, including southeast Texas. Tiffany?
And this was the scene in Kemah earlier today as Tropical Storm Beta moved closer to the coast. Heavy rain led to flooding inside of many local restaurants there, businesses and cars as well. Other communities along Galveston Bay became flood zones because of the storm surge there. Speaking of Galveston, the city also experiencing flooding tonight, and it's taken a beating from Beta most of the day, starting several hours before the storm even made landfall. Galveston beaches were closed all day, but that didn't stop onlookers from heading to the seawall to feel and see the effects of Beta. There were strong winds and heavy rain. Rain that caused flooding in some Galveston neighborhoods, stranding several drivers. City leaders there calling for a voluntary evacuation, but most stayed put. And since school was canceled, one family from Alvin came out to the beach for an educational experience.
We didn't have any school today, so we decided to come out and check out the waves.
What do you think?
I think it's pretty cool. Usually Galveston's pretty mellow. The waves are pretty high, windy, that's fun.
It's my first time, so it's like an experience for science. And honestly, I'm pretty excited to see all the waves actually be this high because I've never seen it before.
So something that is important to mention tonight, the Bolivar Ferry is closed because of the rough water and high wind.
And tonight it's the calm before the storm over in Sabine Pass. The area is under a voluntary evacuation called for by the mayor. KFDM's Paige Hubbard reports why families tell us they're not leaving, even though many evacuated for Hurricane Laura.
Sabine Pass residents say they're prepared for whatever amount of rain comes their way.
We're staying. We just can't afford to leave again.
This is the view outside of Charlotte Block's home in Sabine Pass.
Cars have been stuck here, but they made it out okay.
Large puddles of water fill her front yard. Block and her husband decided to evacuate for Hurricane Laura, but this time around, they are staying put. Block is getting ready by placing her generator outside, elevating her RV, and removing any items from her yard that could be picked up by high winds and blown around.
It's not feasible, financially or otherwise, because it costs so much money to pack up the RV, the storage trailer, the motorcycles, and we're just put them up high and hope and pray.
Some parts of the area are still trying to recover from Hurricane Laura's winds. Power lines hang in low places, and this shed was damaged.
Laura wasn't that bad. We evacuated for Laura and everything.
Thomas Adams has been living in Sabine Pass for 4 years. He says instead of evacuating for Beta, he and his son are taking advantage of the good crabbing opportunities the tropical storm will bring.
Cost us so much to leave last time, and it didn't hit as bad as they thought it was going to, so we decided to stick it out.
Adams is getting his fishing boat ready. His son Bubba is enjoying playing in the water brought in by the surf and tides.
I think it's going to be mostly wind with a little bit of high tide here and there, and that's it.
This storm, they believe, won't come anywhere near packing the same punch as Laura. In Sabine Pass, Paige Hubbard, KFDM 6 News.
Port Arthur Mayor Thurman Bartee stresses it's up to each resident of Sabine Pass and Pleasure Island whether to leave or stay, since the evacuation is voluntary.
A big donation to a city still recovering from Hurricane Laura. While some are still without power tonight, 9 Southeast Texas credit unions teamed up and cooked up some 1,800 meals. They'll continue to feed residents and help with recovery. Together, those credit unions raised some $17,000.
Louisiana's been very helpful to us through the Cajun Navy, through just monetary support. Anything that Texas can do to try to help Louisiana is certainly warranted, because they're always there for us.
And tonight we're learning of only 7 new COVID cases in Beaumont and 9 this past Sunday. The health department reporting 16 new cases. Total cases since tracking began just over 3,500. Total recoveries tonight nearly 3,000. Deaths remain at 63. All but 3 had underlying health conditions.
Still to come tonight, the president vowing to name his Supreme Court justice replacement for the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg by the end of the week, causing a stir on Capitol Hill. Find out why who some of those are on his list.
Of course, we're still watching Beta as it comes on shore. Heavy rains developing to our west and southwest.